write your book starting today. The first step that we teach inside of our Hope Books training program or coaching program is the XYZ statement. So, who is the person that you're writing to? What is the problem that they're facing in their life? And what's the solution or the promise of your book? And the way to figure this out is to look back on your life 3 to 5 years ago. Go in your old journals, go in your phone, your camera roll, and look at those old photos from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and imagine, picture where you were, what you were feeling, what you were thinking, what you were experiencing at the time. And if you could write the perfect book that you needed at that time to get out where you were stuck, what would that book be? That's the book to write, because that's the book that you have lived. And the way to figure that out is your XYZ statement. I help X overcome Y so they can Z. Focus on you from 3, 5, maybe even 10 years ago and write that book. So that's the first step in writing your book starting today, is by figuring out your XYZ statement. The second step in writing your book starting today is to tell one person. Tell one person, this is the year I'm going to write my book. And in fact, my favorite thing to do is tell that one person, but give yourself a specific deadline that has some consequences. So for example, if you have a friend that you'll only see in the summer, call that friend, text that friend, Facebook message that friend and say, listen, by the time I see you again next summer, I'm going to hand you a copy of my published book. Okay, they're going to be excited. No way, that's amazing. Congratulations. You haven't taken any action yet. So it's going to feel really good to tell them about this audacious goal for the future. But what if you put some skin in the game? What if you added some stakes if you didn't accomplish it? So for example, you can say, listen, if I don't hand you a copy of my completed manuscript, maybe not your published book, maybe your published book. If I don't hand you a copy of my completed manuscript that's ready for publication by the time I see you next year, this and this day, or this and this time, then here are the stakes. I'm going to pay for your dinner. I'm going to pay for your hotel. I'm going to buy you a new car. I'm going to buy you a new guitar. Something very serious. And say, I want you to hold me accountable. Literally, if I show up to your house next July and I don't hand you a copy of my manuscripts, then we're going to go to Guitar Center and we're going to pick out your guitar, like for real. And I want you to keep reminding me of that. Okay. Cause I want you to get just as excited about your guitar as I'm excited about my book. Because in reality, here's what happens. In reality, this goal that you have of publishing your book, it's going to fade. It's not going to be so shiny. It's hard. It's hard to write a book. It's hard to publish a book. It's hard to do anything for a long period of time. I was at the gym this morning and there's a guy in the sauna. My son and I go to the gym every day, almost every day, 5 days a week. And we're sitting in the sauna and this guy comes in and he is wearing like full on clothes to like really sweat. So he just looks exhausted, right? He's literally wearing a sweatshirt in the sauna. And then he's doing tricep push-ups. So it's like really sweating. But if you look at the man, it doesn't look like he consistently works out. Like this looked like a new hobby for him, a new routine for him. And I said to my 15-year-old, I'm like, later on, I said, okay, that guy in the sauna, do you think that was day 100 of his little sauna routine? Or do you think it was more closer to day one? Which one? Closer to day 100 or closer to day one? And my son said, probably day one. Like it was probably his first time. And I said, I think you're right. Because he was so intense about it that he didn't have the intensity of somebody doing this for 40 days in a row or 50 weeks in a row or anything like that. It just seemed like beginner enthusiasm. And that's what happens when you decide to write your book. You have beginner enthusiasm. It sounds really fun. You picture all of these people are going to be so excited and your book's going to be out and you're going to hold it in your hands. And like, you think about all the joy of accomplishing that goal, but you don't necessarily think about the pain of having to actually pick your book cover, having to actually pick your book title. Picking your book title means you have to say no to the other 99 book titles that you had in your mind, right? Actually publishing your first book means you have to say no to the other books that you've thought about writing right now. You can't write 5 books at the same time, right? Actually publishing your book means you have to say no to all the other book covers that you really love. And that's really hard. And so it's very normal that you have this beginner enthusiasm. So the way to combat that is to extend your time horizon. And the best way to extend the time horizon is to pick a specific date and have somebody that you trust that holds you accountable. Okay, so my best friend lives in Canada. I see him every July. If I were to message him right now and say, this is my annual goal, and if I don't hit it, I have to buy you a new bass guitar, he'd be like, let's go. Because he wants the bass guitar. Does he love me and want me to hit my goal? Of course he does. So either way, he wins. Two ways to win. Either he wins by getting a bass guitar, or he wins because his friend hit his goal. So that's the second step of actually beginning your book today. And the third step of beginning your book today is you actually need to change your life. You need to change your life. You need to change your environment. You need to change your social circle. You need to change the what you're learning, what you're listening to. There's quite a large change that has to happen in your life if you actually want to write your book this year. So let me give you 3 examples of what it would look like to change your life. Okay. Number 1, what about your environment? Okay. Is there a place in your house that you could dedicate as your writing space? Is there a place at your house that you could set up a whiteboard, set up a writing desk? I like standing, so set up a standing desk, maybe one that goes up and down, a corkboard system. A lot of our writers and Hope writers do that. A note card system. Is there a physical environment that you can set up? Got to change your space. Okay, you got to change your pace. What about your schedule? 24 hours in the day. How many hours yesterday did you spend writing? How many hours yesterday did you spend on your book? Probably 0. So today, is it an hour? What about tomorrow? What about the next day? When will you be working on your book? I recommend first thing in the morning and last thing before you go to bed, and then maybe at lunch, like a lunch break. So if you do that 3 times a day, a little bit of progress on your book can make a big difference. Okay. What about your social circle? Surround yourself with people who believe that writing a book is possible. Surround yourself with people who are also writing a book. This is why we have community at Hope Books. This is why we've had community at Hope Writers for over 10 years now. So if you're not part of a membership, of a Facebook group, of some sort of accountability, join one. You can check out hopewriters.com to learn more, and hopebooks.com to get the accountability to actually publish your book. And finally, to change your environment, you might have to change your system. Do you have a system? Is there a course that you can purchase that will walk you through the process of actually writing your book? At Hope Books, we have a coaching program that will actually walk you through the process of publishing your book. So you're going to need to change your environment if you want to actually hit this goal. It's part of the process. So those are the 3 steps to actually writing your book starting this year. Getting cleared on that XYZ statement, extending your time horizon by getting some accountability, and then following a proven system. If you really want to write and publish your book this year, that's how you're going to do it. Of course, we can help you at Hope Books. Just hit me up, send me a message. I would love to help you take your next right step.